Good morning, kids. Mr. Tom here again for another Sunday school lesson. We're moving through the I ams of Jesus in the New Testament. Last week we talked about Jesus as the door, and we mentioned that as the door and as a shepherd lays himself across the opening in a corral that he makes in the pasture land for the sheep. He leads the sheep into this corral when it's time for him to go to sleep, and then he lays down across the entrance of it. Today we'll talk more about that shepherd and how Jesus is the good shepherd. We're going back and forth between the Old and the New Testament. The New Testament is often the doctrinal truths of salvation. That's what the Bible is really all about, is salvation. The Old Testament is often the storyboard that gives us examples for these truths in the New Testament. In this case, the life of David is an excellent storyboard for the good shepherd, what a good shepherd is and what he does. When David was a young boy, he visited his brothers in the battle that they were at with the giant Goliath, one of the Philistines, where Goliath made all those accusations. And David heard them, and he offered to fight the giant. King Saul informed David he was much smaller than the giant, and as a shepherd, David told King Saul that he had experiences watching the sheep where a bear and a lion in different times came and attacked the sheep. And he killed them both with his bare hands. And he would do the same to the giant. And you recall that he actually did. So there are so many truths in the Bible that can be seen in these verses. And I want you to see the truths that Jesus is going to lay down his life just as a good shepherd, like David offered when he fought the lion and the bear and when he fought Goliath. If David didn't beat either of those three, he would not have been the king of Israel. It's easy to give up one or two sheep to protect the rest of the flock, but God is not like that, and neither is your good shepherd. So in David's life, God and in Jesus' life, God is willing to sacrifice his own son to save others, even if it is only one. And he would do it even if it was only you. Do you realize that? Today we're back in John 10, where we touch on the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Jesus in this role says, the sheep hear his voice and he leads them out, and they follow him only because they know his voice and they trust him. If you have a dog, you know how this works. It may take a little bit of time, but eventually with the right training, your dog is going to learn your voice and he's going to obey it. In the same context, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Remember, this is all in the context of the argument that he just had with the religious leaders. Jesus is not only making the argument that he is the Messiah, the Son of God, but more importantly, that he is the Son of God. It's a huge statement, so much so that the religious leaders took up stones to stone him. The Good Shepherd distinguishes Jesus from the other shepherds. Jesus tells us the other shepherds care only for themselves and are not committed to the livelihood of their sheep. And in the case of the other shepherds, note this, that there's no talk about the Father. There's no even as the Father knows the Son. And that's really the key between Jesus as the Good Shepherd and our Good Shepherd and the others. The Good Shepherd is good. He's trustworthy, and he will and did die for you. Why? Because it was his mission that the Father gave to him. So the next time you see a flock of sheep in a ranch or in pasture land, remember that you are like those sheep, and without a shepherd, you won't know the way to safety, or in Jesus' case, the way to salvation. You too require care from someone who knows you, who knows what's best for you, and can and will sacrifice himself for you. And very importantly, you too must learn that you have a heavenly Father, and you need to hear his voice and follow him in all things, just like Jesus did. All right, I'll see you next week.